Hello and welcome to the channel. It's almost 3 years since I uploaded a video showing the changes that I'd made to one of my CT110s to try and turn it into a kind of long-range mini adventure bike. I was surprised just how popular that video was. A lot of people were interested in that, and I thought now 3 years later maybe it's time to do an update and go through the changes that have happened in that time. And as usual, if that's something you're interested in seeing, stick around. I'll get straight into it. Well, as I said, I did release a video 3 years ago about the changes I'd made to the bike, so I'm not going to repeat all of those things that I've done already. I'll leave a link at the top here. If you haven't seen that video, it's probably a good idea to watch that first. We'll give you a background on the previous changes that I've made. And one of the biggest changes I made was convert the bike from 6 volt to 12 volt electrics. This is a 1985 ex-Australia Post CT110. What had CDI, electronic ignition, and 6 volt electrics. Now, as with many people, I had a lot of problems with the 6 volt electrics, blowing the headlight globe, tail light, etc. I needed something more reliable. And here in Australia, these bikes, they continue to sell them to the Australia Post up until about 2013, I believe, and they were switched to 12 volt electrics in, I think it was 1993. So what I did to convert this bike, I bought a cheap spares bike and used the parts from that, from a 12 volt donor bike, to fit onto this 1985 6 volt bike. And as you can see here on the left side cover, the easiest way to tell if it's a 12 or 6 volt bike is just look at the bottom there. You can see just above the gear shift, instead of being round or circular, the casing has a lump sticking out on the bottom left corner, and that's because the pickup for the electronic ignition is behind the cover there and not behind the cover on the cylinder head. I made a couple of videos showing what I did to do the conversion. I changed the rotor, the stator, the side cover, and I wanted a plug and play solution. So what I did, I changed the wiring harness, the headlight, the switchgear, everything. Simply because I had the parts on the donor bike. Since I did the conversion, never had a headlight globe blow since, and the electrics have proved faultless. And so I removed the 6 to 12 volt converter that I had just below the auxiliary tank there. I didn't need that anymore. Buying a donor bike was a cost-effective way of doing this. If you try to do that conversion buying brand new parts, you'll end up spending more than what the bike's worth. And also, this bike doesn't have high-low transmission, as was the case with all, I believe, of the Aussie Post bikes. You can't do this conversion on a bike with a high-low because you can't change the left-hand side casing. Unless you do what someone's done on the internet, cut one casing in half and weld it to the other. But my steel welding's bad enough, never mind aluminium welding. Well, these are the original footrests that came on this bike, and as you can see, they're just a solid one-piece bar, not folding. Much the same as fitted to a C90 Cub. And that's not really a good idea, especially if you're doing any off-road work. With the later CT110s, they had folding footrests with these larger footrests with the rubbers on like that. I wanted something more off-road for this bike, so what I did, I fitted some of the footrests that Honda fitted from the factory to the agricultural or ag version bikes here in Australia. Let's have a look at my 1981 bike and I'll show you the footrests on that. Well, here on Barney, my 1981 bike, you can see from the factory serrated edge footrests for off-road use, folding. So that was the type I wanted to fit onto my later model bike. And here are the footrests fitted to my mini adventure bike. Steel is a good choice, I think. The ones that you can buy that are alloy, aluminium, they can be brittle, and you hit something and they can snap off and leave you stranded with only one footrest. So steel, much better, bends and you can bash it with a hammer and bend it back straight. So a good addition to the bike, much better than the solid bar, and genuine Honda parts as well. And although I switched the headlamp to a 12 volt headlight, it's still not very bright, and so I've fitted an LED light bar. It's really good if you have to do some night riding. Now, I had originally planned to fit a 19-inch front wheel. I thought that would be a better option, would ride better on the dirt potholy roads. And so what I did, I got a 19-inch rim, laced it up to a CT110 hub, and I ran this on one of my other postie bikes for a while. I think it looks really good, but I've decided not to use it on this bike simply because on a long trip, one of your main restrictions or drawbacks is tyre wear. These tyres don't last very long, especially the trail tyres. And so the advantage of being able to carry one tyre that fits on the front or back wheel and one in a tube that fits on the front or back wheel overweighs any slight benefit of a 19-inch front wheel. So I'm just going to stick to the original 17-inch wheels, 17-inch rims front and rear. I also fitted one of these mesh cool seat covers. Doesn't really make much difference on a long ride. The only time when it is beneficial is if you leave the bike parked in the sun. The seat doesn't seem to heat up as much. Still have my USB power supply, and it's handy because you can use it to check the volts in the battery. 12.6 volts there. But what I did, I got rid of the tachometer rev counter that I had there. It was just taking up space on the bars and I wasn't using it. But what I did fit instead is this tyre pressure monitoring system. Let's switch it on. Hopefully you can see it, maybe it'll just flicker, I don't know. So there it's saying I've got 27 and 28 psi in the tyres. Still have my bicycle speedo. And this bag is just about had it getting ready. I need a new one. In order to carry camping gear, I needed to extend the rear rack. And what I did, I got a spare old rack, cut it in half, and it's just clamped together to the existing rack. I didn't wish to weld it in place, I didn't wish to spoil my existing rack, so it's just clamped in place. Works great, and so I can use my bag there, and then on here will be bulkier but less heavier things such as a tent, sleeping bag, stuff like that. Well, I think I've covered everything. I hope you enjoyed this quick look around my bike, and it's given you some ideas for potential changes to make to your bike. If you feel you get some value out of the videos, please consider subscribing, it's free. Also give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. It all helps the channel to grow. That way I can bring you more content on these mighty little CT90s, CT110s. And I'll see you again soon in the next video.